On a warm spring morning in Henderson, Nevada, 23-year-old Emily Carter drove to her mother's home after a day of unanswered phone calls. Her mom, Linda Carter, never went a day without texting or calling. Something felt wrong, terribly wrong. When Emily pulled up, the house looked peaceful, almost too peaceful. The blinds were drawn, the car still in the driveway, and the morning paper untouched. "Mom?" she called out as she entered through the unlocked back door. Silence. Then, she noticed muddy footprints leading toward the yard. The air outside was heavy, still. And there, near the edge of her mother's beloved rose garden, Emily froze. At first, it looked like a mannequin lying in the grass, but then reality hit. It was her mother's body, lifeless, and missing her head. Emily's screams pierced the quiet neighborhood. The 911 call she made moments later would become one of the most haunting recordings Henderson police ever received. Within minutes, officers swarmed the scene. The backyard was cordoned off, and forensic teams moved quickly to collect evidence. Neighbors whispered in disbelief. Linda, a beloved elementary school teacher, had no known enemies. No break-ins, no theft, no clear motive. But one thing was clear: this was not random. The killer had been comfortable enough to enter her home, move her body, and attempt to hide it. Detectives immediately began piecing together Linda's last known movements. Security cameras, phone records, and interviews with friends revealed a picture of a woman living in quiet fear, and possibly being watched. What no one expected was that the truth behind this gruesome murder would lead right back to someone inside her own family. Detectives swarmed the Carter residence, determined to understand how such a gruesome act could happen in a quiet suburban neighborhood. What they found inside Linda Carter's home sent chills down their spines. In the kitchen, there were no signs of forced entry, no broken locks, no shattered glass. The killer had walked right in. A half-finished cup of coffee sat on the counter, still warm when officers arrived. This wasn't a stranger's work. Linda had let her killer in. The investigation quickly turned to the people closest to her. Neighbors reported hearing raised voices the night before. A heated argument between Linda and a younger woman. Emily insisted she hadn't visited that night, but her alibi wasn't immediately clear. Inside Linda's bedroom, detectives found something strange. A hidden journal under her mattress. The final entries hinted at fear. "Someone is watching the house again. I think it's her. She wants money, and I'm scared she'll hurt me." The her in question wasn't immediately clear, but detectives suspected it might refer to Jessica, Linda's estranged older daughter, who had a history of violence and drug use. Meanwhile, the forensics team found blood traces in the bathroom and faint drag marks leading toward the back door. Someone had cleaned, not perfectly, but enough to suggest premeditation. As evidence piled up, a horrifying theory began to take shape. This wasn't just a murder born of rage. It was planned. Someone close to Linda wanted her silenced. Emily, grief-stricken and traumatized, pleaded her innocence. But when detectives pulled surveillance footage from a nearby gas station, what they discovered would shatter everything she'd claimed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Detectives reviewing hours of surveillance footage from nearby cameras made a breakthrough. A time-stamped video from a gas station less than a mile from Linda's home captured a familiar car, a silver Toyota Corolla, pulling in around 10:47 p.m., the night before the murder. The driver, Emily Carter, the same daughter who told police she hadn't seen her mother in over 24 hours. Detectives zoomed in on the footage. Emily appeared nervous, pacing beside her car and talking on her phone. Minutes later, she purchased duct tape, trash bags, and cleaning wipes. Her expression was blank, controlled, cold. When confronted with the evidence, Emily broke down, but not in the way investigators expected. She insisted she wasn't the killer. According to her, Jessica, her older sister, had called her that night in a panic. Jessica claimed she'd done something terrible and needed Emily's help to clean up a mess. Emily admitted she drove to the house but said she never went inside. The supplies, she claimed, were meant to help Jessica fix the situation, though she couldn't explain why she didn't call police. the story was falling apart. When police brought in Jessica for questioning, she was erratic, shaking, and clearly under the influence. Yet, her version matched Emily's in one horrifying way. Both insisted Linda's death wasn't an accident. Detectives realized they were dealing with something far darker. A deadly family secret rooted in greed, resentment, and betrayal. And as investigators dug deeper into phone records, one cryptic text message between the sisters would expose the cold-blooded truth behind Linda's brutal murder. Detectives traced a digital trail that would finally expose the sinister truth. For days, investigators had been combing through both sisters' phones, searching for anything that might explain how a loving mother ended up decapitated in her own backyard. Then, they found it. A deleted text message recovered from Emily's phone using digital forensics, sent 2 days before Linda's death. It read, "Jessica, it has to be done. She's cutting us off. No more money, no more house. Are you in or not? Emily, fine. But I want no part of what happens after." That single exchange flipped the entire investigation. The motive was money. Linda had been planning to sell her home, the same house both daughters still relied on for financial support, and move across the country to start over. The news sent Jessica spiraling. Prosecutors later revealed that Jessica convinced Emily to help her confront their mother that night. But when Linda refused to give them any money, Jessica snapped. In a fit of rage, or perhaps cold calculation, she attacked Linda in the kitchen, striking her repeatedly before committing the unthinkable act. Emily, terrified, helped cover up the crime, hoping it would look like an outside attack. But every step, every lie, left behind a digital fingerprint. As detectives pieced together the timeline, it became clear. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a murder born of greed, plotted through texts, executed in silence, and unraveled by technology. Next came the hardest part, the courtroom showdown that would reveal how far one family's betrayal could go. The courtroom was silent as Emily and Jessica Carter entered in handcuffs, their faces pale and emotionless. The sisters who once shared childhood memories were now co-defendants in one of the most disturbing family murder cases Nevada had ever seen. Prosecutors presented a chilling timeline: premeditation, a financial motive, and a calculated attempt to cover up the killing. The jury listened as digital forensics experts walked them through the text messages, the surveillance footage, and the blood evidence that linked both daughters to their mother's death. Jessica's defense argued that she suffered from severe mental illness and drug dependency, claiming she had snapped after years of emotional strain. Emily's attorney painted her as a scared young woman manipulated by her older sister. But the prosecution wasn't convinced. Neither were the jurors. In closing arguments, the district attorney's voice echoed across the room. This was not an accident. It was a betrayal planned, executed, and concealed by those who should have loved Linda Carter most. After only 6 hours of deliberation, the verdict came in: Jessica Carter guilty of first-degree murder. Emily Carter guilty of accessory to murder and obstruction of justice. Jessica was sentenced to life in prison without parole, while Emily received 25 years for her role in the cover-up. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered as the community tried to process the unimaginable: a family destroyed by greed and resentment. Linda Carter's story serves as a grim reminder. Evil doesn't always come from strangers in the dark. Sometimes, it hides in plain sight, behind familiar faces, within the walls we call home.